Welcome to For the Sake of Heaviness. I'm Butch Ballich.
I'm Merciful Mike.
Tonight, we bring you numbers 20 through 11 of our top 20 releases for 2024. Um, I don't know, Mike, what do you think about it? I think it's been a pretty solid year for metal and hard rock. I mean, I can't, people that, there's a lot of people that say they can't find music, but every year I seem to find like so much stuff that even as of today, I was still whittling down my list because there's so much stuff that on any given day could have been in my top 20.
I'm right there with you, and to the people who say that it was lackluster, you're just not looking hard enough, or you're not listening, to what other people are saying, or looking in the right places. I don't know, because I thought this was a stellar year, and I really didn't think it was going to be, but man, especially the first quarter of 24 just came out screaming. You had Saxon, you had Priest, you had Bruce Dickinson. I mean, it was ridiculous those first couple of months. So yeah, and I'm in the same boat with you. I'm still kind of second guessing myself up till about 15 minutes ago. So
Yeah, and it's, mentioning those bands, as far as the year overall, it's always good to see when legacy bands that have been around for that long are still making great records. I mean, all the acts you mentioned, plus Deep Purple, like
right.
so many artists that have been around a long time are still making great work, keeping them relevant. In addition to all the younger bands that are out there, so I think that's great for music. I know we tend to look at the music business and things are down in terms of sales, but in terms of like quality of music,
Oh
there's
man.
just so much good stuff out there. So
Yeah, and a good friend of mine, we've always when we get into music discussions, we've always said ever since, the golden days of discovery when you're like, 14, 15, 16, through maybe your early 20s, your expectations become set so high. You're always, chasing that next high. You really are looking for that next album to just,
right.
knock your socks off. And, like you said, not only is it just incredible that this year we had our legacy bands putting out top notch, top shelf, high quality music, but even if you wanted to go genre specific, I mean, you could pick from all the different genres, and there was a
Hmm.
handful of albums from each that just knocked it out of the park. So
For sure.
this ended up being a really, really good year. So I think between you and I think our lists are definitely going to highlight the good stuff from 2024.
For sure. You
So
got any honorable mentions to start us off?
yeah, I've got five of them, and I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but I'm going to kind of rifle through those so we can get to the big list. But I'm going to start with Solitary Sabred. Technically, the CD came out at the very end of last year, and the vinyl came out early this year. So I kind of threw this into the honorable mention. Just stellar, good traditional heavy metal, touches on all kinds of stuff. There's a little doom in here too, but really, really good, solid album if you just want to rock out. Next one, their first album really, really got a ton of airplay for me. Love the record. This one missed the mark a little bit for me. Still really, really good. Early Moods, great album, but the replay value on this one was a little on the lighter side. Not knocking it, still good. Really looking forward to what they do with album number three.
Oh yeah.
This one, I couldn't put it in the regular list because it is an EP, and I know that we said we were going to stick with full length, but as an honorable mention, Demon Spell. I mean, if you're a Merciful Fate King Diamond fan and anything even close to that, this is it. Fourth song, blazing. Awesome, awesome. Definitely worth checking out. If you like black metal, 1349 is still putting out quality stuff this far into their career. This was a really, I don't want to say glossy, but a very well produced album as far as black
Hmm.
metal goes. Definitely worth checking out. They haven't missed a step. And then finally, Winter Sun. Members from Insiferum. This album is Time Part Two. There's 12 years in between Part One and Part Two, and it did not disappoint. I'd like to spend a little more time with this, so again, it's an honorable mention. If you like black metal, and this actually has a little bit of an Oriental kind of flavor to it, that
Hmm.
puts a different spin on it. So great album, definitely worth checking out.
Interesting.
All right. How about you? A
Good
couple
stuff.
of honorables?
I'm just gonna rifle through mine. Actually, I don't have the physical copies here. A couple of these I'm still waiting to come into my local store. But real quick, um, the Cure songs of a Lost World. I didn't put it in my list. It's actually in my overall list. It's in my top three, but it's not metal,
Sure.
so I left it off for the purposes of this one. But it's a tremendous record, and talk about a band that's been around forever that's still making music. That I mean, this record stands up to their best stuff like Disintegration and Pornography and some of some of those older records. It's in the vein of those records. It's a real dark, somber kind of record, real reflective. Robert Smith just really it took him 16 years to put the record up,
Right,
but
right.
it's amazing. Um, Vicious Blade from around here. Relentless Force is the name there, and their album like is under 30 minutes, so I count it as an EP. Like just I don't even know, it's a blackened thrash, vicious, heavy album. Um, Lucifer's Hammer, and the reason that it didn't make my 20 is because I just really got turned on to it. It's still so early. I don't even Gary Schaefer's going to get a I got him. He's got one stacked for me. That's coming in the mail. So I left it off, but I could tell that's going to be a record that is going to get a lot of plays around this house. Black Country Communion 5 or V or um, they can do no wrong. It just isn't quite the level of the other four. But again, I'm still like digging into it. Glenn Hughes sounds amazing on it. It's real close to my top 20.
Sure.
Probably if I would have had a couple more spaces, it would have been there. And then the last one is Freeways, Dark Sky Sanctuary, a great Canadian hard rock band. Somewhere between it, they got like the Thin Lizzy double guitar thing, but then they have like a little bit of it's almost like a mix of like they would have fit in with the whole new wave of British heavy metal scene mixed with like Swedish kind of rock, RAWK kind of thing. Really great, catchy band. Would love to see them live. So that's those are my five real quick
Those are
um,
good ones.
honorable mentions.
Yeah, Freeways. I missed out on that one, and actually, I that's their third album, right? The new
I
one,
believe it's their second full length.
second full length. Okay, their first full length, I loved, and
True Bearings is really good. Yeah.
oh man, and for some reason, and people look at me like, what? And maybe it is just me, or maybe it's the Canadian connection, but there was a touch of Cauldron in that first record. It
I
really,
totally hear that. Yep.
yeah, that really spun me, and I was like, that's got to be Cauldron. It sounds so good. Oh, sorry, puppy's going upstairs. So, all right, Butch, I'm gonna let you start your main list and see what we got going here. I'm pumped to see what you got, and I'm pumped to see what kind of comparisons we might have.
All right. Number 20. Don't have the record yet, but I've listened to it a tons of times. Vinyl's on the way. Iron Flame, Kingdom Torn Asunder, band from, Andrew DeCagna from Ohio, does all this himself, except, Jesse Scott and Quinn Lucas from the live band play the lead work on the record, but just tremendous classic metal band. The albums are solid. Like all of them are really good. Classic metal, like 80s metal. If you like Dio, if you like Priest, if you like Maiden, like all of that's in there. Um, Killer record. Andrew's voice is awesome. He has a really like
Yeah.
effortless singing voice. Has a great range, but he doesn't sound like he doesn't have like a he can hit all kind of high notes, but his voice doesn't sound like squeaky like some of the power
Right.
metal kind of guys. But it's a great like most of it's up tempo, to the faster side. Then they'll slow it down and get into those mid tempo kind of
Yeah.
like Dio kind of workouts and stuff. But killer record. My favorite songs on the album are Majesty of Steel and Riding the Dragons. The whole album is about metal. It's about swords. It's about dragons. It's about all that kind of
Our
stuff.
favorite stuff.
Yeah, killer record. Iron Flame, Kingdom Torn Asunder, number 20.
Man, that's one that definitely missed my list, and I still need to pick that up. I'm just gonna throw in what an amazing, awesome dude Andrew is. I've known
He is
Andrew from the Brimstone Coven. times that I've had a chance to book those guys, and just an awesome guy. And yeah, Iron Flame is amazing. Everything I've heard is just stellar.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest, man. Dude has so much talent. Like he's probably got more talent in his pinky than a lot of people. It's
And
amazing.
you're right about his range too. And I love, whether he's harmonizing with, some of the other guys or even when he harmonizes and it's layers of himself,
Yeah,
man, man, does that just come out so good.
it's incredible. Yeah.
All right, my number 20, and this probably would have ranked higher had I gotten it sooner. I literally just got it a couple days ago and I've been playing it and it's good, but it's going to sit at the 20 spot for now. Is Castle Evil Remains. Now, Matt and Liz, who are on the back here, they're the mainstays of the band. They do kind of a little bit of a drummer shuffle here and there, but they've always got quality guys. Um, really, really good. The last album for me faltered a little bit, but Welcome to the Graveyard was huge. This one builds a little bit more on that one. Very memorable tunes, just giant walls of riffs. And Matt and Liz are just great people. I've had the opportunity to book them a handful of times through the years. Just great people, high energy live shows, just crowd pleasers. So, yep. Castle Evil Remains, that'll kick off my list at 20.
Nice. Yeah, I was fortunate to see them once here in Pittsburgh at Howlers
Oh,
in
all right.
Bloomfield. They're great, great live bands.
Yeah. Oh
Fantastic.
God.
Yeah. All right, number 19. Going to Canada. Um, it's Traveler, prequel
Yeah.
to Madness. Man, I just love these guys of this whole like kind of new wave, a true heavy metal scene. Like they've just grown on me. I think all the records they put out are great. I love JP's voice. Um, this is like it splits the difference between traditional metal and there's some speed metal elements in it. The vocals are insane on here, and the guitar work is crazy. A lot of great double guitar work. I mean, this is like going to be a recurring theme. I'm a sucker for like the harmony guitars.
Hell yeah.
Tremendous, tremendous, so catchy. Killer live band. Matt Rees, the guitar player, the main songwriter, just coming up with great track after great track. Um, my favorite songs on here are Heavy Hearts. It doesn't get much catchier than that song. And Take the Wheel. Just freaking great, heavy, speedy, traditional metal record right here. Traveler, prequel to Madness.
Good stuff. See, that's why I'm so glad we're doing an episode like this because there's another one that I don't have on my list, don't have, and definitely need because their first couple I have in my collection and are great. And I've heard nothing but good stuff about that. So it slipped through my fingers. That's another one.
Yeah. Add it to the list.
Added to the list. All right. My number 19, Friends of Hell. God damn you to hell. Um, Good old Rise Above. This is on their favorite color vinyl, purple. First album, good. Didn't really get me coming back a whole lot. This one definitely did. This one is much better. Seems to have a little bit more energy into this. Um, Now Albert Witchfinder was the original singer when they got together to do the first album. He is
Mm-hmm.
gone, and now they've got Hell Butcher singing, and it just seemed to kind of I don't want to say rejuvenate because they haven't been around that long, but really good, solid doom. Can be up tempo when it needs to be. It can be sludgy and drudging along when it needs to be. But all around good stuff. Big. If you're a big fan of doom, this is right in your wheelhouse. Definitely go get it. Number 19.
All right. Number 18. This band actually like has been around a long time, and for whatever reason they just passed me by for the longest time, and then I finally, maybe about 3 albums ago, I just started like checking them out and picking up their records, and this latest one is like right in line with what I like about them. This is Evergrey, Theories of Emptiness. What I like about these guys is they're heavy. They're progressive. They fit. You could put them on a stage with your Dream Theaters and your Symphony X's, or like Haken. They kind of got a little bit of that, sometimes a shunt shunt kind of
Sure.
thing going on in the guitars, but they're so melodic and emotional. Like that's what gets me every time. Like Thomas England's voice is godly. Again,
Yeah,
like a guy whose range is deceptively huge because he doesn't like he's not like out hitting like these sky high notes every second,
right,
but
right.
like his voice just you know carries this stuff so much. I mean, it's such a good listen. I mean, and it like just bears repeated listenings, and it's for when you're like feeling a feeling a certain way to put this on and just
Yeah,
like soak it in. Like I again, like just the emotionality of this is really like one of the things I like about Evergrey. They just balance things so well, and it's so this is a band like I'm trying to explore the back catalog now because
right.
these last the three or four have been just tremendous, right? 9, 10 star records as far as I'm
Easily.
concerned. So I hope I get a chance to see them live. But that's number 18. Favorite tracks on here are "Falling from the Sun," "Ghost of My Hero."
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Thomas England is just and you know what? It's a pretty deep catalog for Evergrey. And Thomas still sounds like almost ageless. He his voice has not faltered one bit. And it's just yeah, and I agree with you too. He's a very emotion invoking singer. Like you said, it'll put you in a place, or if you are feeling a particular way, man, Evergrey will take you to wherever you have to be. So, just on a side note, have you heard Silent Skies?
Yes, it's
Oh man,
the more mellow and again like make you want to weep
yeah. Oh my God,
kind of thing. It
absolutely.
just really gets you in the feels. Like tremendous stuff there too.
Yeah, if you're trying to focus just solely on Thomas's singing, yeah, Silent Skies is great. But yeah, Evergrey, absolutely love him. I got into him, I guess, a little bit later. Inner Circle was kind of like my proper introduction, and I absolutely love that album. So I went backwards right away. But like you said, their last three, four have just been stellar. So all right, number 18 for me. And I won't say too much about it. People have their opinions, but I love Powerwolf, man. Now they're like Powerwolf's kind of like the AC/DC of power metal. They've got a formula. It works. They stick to it. They don't stray too far. But damn, if these guys just aren't fun. They're they take the whole werewolf thing seriously. We got to see them in September. They did a real limited run of the States. The whole stage show is cathedral like, and they just play it up, and they have the best time doing it. Strangely enough, I was just reading that these guys are creeping up like right behind the Scorpions, I guess, is one of the biggest selling bands out of Germany and stuff like
Wow,
that. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, Wake Up the Wicked. I'm not gonna go through because every song is really good and they do a lot of videos. So just go to the YouTube and just type in Powerwolf and you'll get a taste of them. But really good power metal, tons of fun. If you're in a good mood and just kind of want to kick back with some beers, throw this on. So Powerwolf 18.
nice. I'm hoping to get a chance to see them live one of these days. I think it'll cut across um, better for me live. But really good band though. I definitely kept. I mean, you can't deny how catchy they are. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fun stuff. Number 17 for me from North Carolina, Mega Colossus with Showdown. Um, love these dudes. Traditional metal, but kind of quirky. Sometimes they get like these, they have tempo shifts going on, like oddball kind of time signature riffing, um, and sci-fi lyrics, and they write about
Yeah.
all kind of cool like fantasy and science fiction stuff. They've written about Dune, and I mean they're just an interesting band. Great live, real like interesting to watch them live because some of the stuff is like so it sounds kind of tricky, and for that it's just like effortless for these dudes. And Sean Buchanan's vocals are amazing. Again,
Yeah.
just one of these singers like I just feel like these guys are finally, I think, starting to build up more of a, they've been around a long time, and those people who are into them really love them, and I think they're finally starting to build up even bigger. And I hope that great things happen for them. Um, Bill Fisher's a great guitar player. Doza's a good drummer. They're good guys, and I just love their records, man. Now this one is maybe just like a quarter step down from the last couple for me, but it's still great. I mean, you really can't go wrong with Mega Colossus, and the record's just as Colossus. I mean, it's fun, um, and it's great. You'll have a good time. Mega Colossus Showdown.
I'm kind of hoping, and if they ever did, I completely missed it. But I'm kind of hoping they make their way out by me. They're from like North or South Carolina, right?
I think North Carolina, if I'm
Okay,
not
okay,
mistaken.
okay. So you've seen them, so they kind of creep into your neck of the woods on occasion.
They've been up to Pittsburgh. I saw them here in Pittsburgh once, and we played with them down in North Carolina
Oh, nice,
once. So yeah, tons of fun.
cool, cool.
Like,
Yeah.
and Sean hits every note in the book, man. Just an amazing singer, and they're great on. They're fun on. They're so much fun on stage.
All right. Creeping up on number 17 here. This is another one that I was okay, let me preface this. It's Opeth, and I really kind of a lot of people loved when they went the prog direction. I did not. So I kind of after Blackwater Park kind of pumped the brakes a little bit on these guys. And I would check in here and there. I was like, yeah, okay, it is what it is, but it didn't thrill me like it did some people. And then, everybody's like, oh, Michael's back to the death growls on this, and it's Opeth of the old here and there with still some of the prog influence. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab this. It is brilliant, and I think this would have ranked higher, but I think I need to digest this a little bit more. This is a
Hmm.
huge, massive album to take in. Um, which paragraph do you prefer? Paragraph one, paragraph two.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but it surprised me. I didn't think I was gonna like this as much as I did, and I think this album still needs to reveal itself to me. Put it that way. I think there's a lot more in here that I still need to absorb and discover. So, but for what it's worth, great album for me. Kind of a nice comeback, so to speak, for
right.
Opeth. So definitely gonna dive in more. Maybe we'll do a separate episode based just on this record because I think this almost deserves its own episode.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Last Will and Testament.
All right. Number 16 for me. Again, this is on my arm length. Gotta buy it list, but his Exorder, Defectum Omnium.
Uh,
Uh, love these dudes. The thrash, the groove, the doom. They go between them all, sometimes all within the same song. Kyle Thomas, phenomenal singer. Um, this great playing, great singing on these records. They're freaking heavy as hell, riffs for days. They will smash you in the face, and leave you for dead. Um, just a great album. Like I said, they go from speedy to doom, and then everything's got. There's so
yeah,
much like catchy, like I hate to use the term like groove rock or anything like that, but there
yeah,
is an undeniable like kind of groove in it, man. And they just do what they do, I think, better than anyone who's doing it. Like I love Exhorter, great live bands. And this album, Defectum Omnium, is stands up proud in their catalog. Um, Your Six is one of my favorites on here, and Wrath of Prophecies are two of my favorite. But the whole record it's hard to pick a favorite one. It's just like killer.
yeah. When you've got an album just full of quality all the way through, yeah, it's hard to pick one out. I mean, like we said about Andrew, speaking of stand-up guys, Kyle, top notch. Nothing
Definitely.
but good stuff to say about him. Yeah, you're right about the whole, groove thing. I don't know if that's the right term that we use to, throw their way, but maybe it's, the New Orleans thing. I don't know, but they definitely do have that identifying factor where you're like, oh, X Order. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff though. Okay, what are we on here? 16.
16.
I've got Crip Sermon, Stygian Rose. Man, I've been following these guys for a while. I've picked up everything they did. Best to date, as far as I'm concerned. Production on this is amazing. The atmosphere on this is one of those albums that takes you on a journey. And Brooks Wilson, at times, I don't know if it's just me, um, a little bit of John Oliva comes to mind on certain passages. That's what I'm seeing and hearing on that. Um, Goes from really good doom to some Maiden-esque type passages.
Mhm.
It's the full package here. Um, you know, Glimmers in the Underworld, that opener is fantastic, and Down the Hollow is one of my favorites too. So, fantastic album. Crip Sermon, CG and Rose.
Number 15 for me is High on Fire, Cometh the Storm. Uh, dude, I mean, these guys are consistent. And I mean, but this one like really hits it really got me like in a way that I think maybe the last one I liked as much was Snakes for the Divine. This one just freaking pummels you. I mean, that's what they do anyway. It's Matt Pike's got that, that Lemmy-esque choking on glass voice. Just huge riffs. I mean, the album just pounds, but like the writing on here just seems to be, I liked Electric Messiah and Luminescence, but this one just seems to like I think it's the best writing they've done in a few records. Killer artwork. I can't wait to get a hold of it. Get it here. Um, you know, Lamb's Bread and freaking Lightning Beard, like tremendous stuff. Like track after track, it's just like getting punched in a face for the length of the album. That's what High on Fire is like. Like great riffs, so heavy, massive wall of guitar, and those brutal, just like vocals from Pike, like just killer
Yeah.
stuff.
That's another one on my add to list that I, for whatever reason, I didn't get around to that one this year, but I definitely need to grab that too. But yeah, I think you hit it on the head. That's almost like High on Fire's calling card. It's just to pummel you into submission every time.
Yeah, it's kind of like getting put in a metal garbage can and rolled down a hill, rolled down a cliff. Like you're just like you get beat up, but it feels so good like when you're done with it, man.
That you climb back to the top of the hill
Yeah,
and do it again. My number 15, we don't need to take too much time on this one because we both
there it
agree
is.
this was stellar. I mean, Evergrey, one of the very best progressive metal bands going out there. Emotion filled, takes you where you need to be at any time you need to be. Thomas England, one of the best singers going today. So I'm not gonna spend too much time. We discuss this with your pick. So here's one we both had on our list today.
Right on.
All right, what you
All
got?
right. This is probably the least heavy on the list. This comes from the world of hard rock, and it's a band that's been around since the 80s. I think one of the more unique of the hair metal bands. Um, their first record, No Respect, came out around 89. I'm talking about Vane.
Oh
This
wow.
is Disintegrate Together. This album just came out this year. Davey self-released this on vinyl CD. You have to go to his website to get it. It's not. I think Cold Like Snow is the only thing that's up streaming anywhere. There might be a couple things on YouTube if you want to check some of the songs out. But Vane is a band that when I first heard No Respect when it first came out, I didn't really care for it. Um, and I came back to it oddly enough, through a friend's band covered a couple of songs, and I was like, I need to go back and listen to that record. And then I went back and like listened to the whole thing, and then I was like, I got caught on a couple of them and just listened to it over and over and over again. I just like once it sunk in, I was like, once I acclimated to, Davey Vane has like a unique kind of voice. I don't even know how to describe it. But great melodic hard rock band. Kind of sleazy, but not like overly bluesy or anything like that. It's just like
Hmm.
um, I think they occupy a fairly unique space in terms of their sounds. Um, Killer bands. Dying to see them. They're on my bucket list of bands I got to see live. But honest to God, have never let me down. Like every one of their records, I think has been killer from No Respect on up through Move On It. They just put that out on vinyl, like did a limited run. I just got that, just came in the mail, and Fade and just every record's killer, man. I mean, these songs are like it sounds like Vane. I mean, it's just good, melodic, catchy, hard rock. Cold Like Snow is one of my favorites on here. Holding On for Love. They've recorded Holding On for Love a few times now. There was a demo of it back in the day. And then they recorded it as Holding On their Fade record, and there's a version of it in here. I think it's also great. It's good to hear the revised version of. But yeah, I mean, go to Davey Vane's site if you like, great melodic hard rock, and then if you like Rat and Motley Crue and stuff like that. I mean, that Guns N' Roses. I mean, I think these guys are actually I like these guys. Probably more than all of them
Wow. Okay.
overall. I'm nothing's going to touch Shout at the Devil for me from that group of bands, but this album's just killer. I think.
Wow. That's a really interesting pick. I don't follow Vane. I mean, I know of them, and even back in the 80s, I never really picked up on too much of that stuff. I know they were kind of, and probably unfairly, they were kind of like buried by the big ones and everything. I always thought too. I was never huge on the hair metal stuff, but once you got into like the second, third tier, there was some killer bands in there that I think,
Yeah,
we've talked about this before. They unfairly got, lumped in with all the hair metal stuff, and they really didn't fit that mold, but man, were they good.
yeah, there was a lot of good bands that came in that second and third wave. There was a lot of garbage to wade through,
Hmm.
but some of these bands were real gems like Vane. But it's a timing thing.
Yeah.
I think a band like that, had they put their first record out in the mid '80s, would have stood a better chance. But with the first record coming out in '89, I mean, it was
Yeah.
tough by then. Things, that style of music was still selling, but it was starting to people were starting to tire of it a little bit. A little bit. It was harder to for bands to not as many bands were breaking through. You had
Right.
after Guns N' Roses and Skid Row, like bands didn't break as big. You had some minor stuff,
Sure.
and then it just got watered down. But Vane, man, I love them.
I'll have to kind of maybe work my way back. I agree with you though. Like right around 89 and 90, I think we hit that saturation point. I know a lot of people are always saying, "Oh, grunge killed it," but I think it killed
I think
itself.
hard rock killed it, and we could do an episode on that. Like it pretty much committed suicide.
uh, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, we should do an episode on that. It's a good argument. Number 14. We've already seen this one.
Yeah,
I agree with absolutely everything you said. This was my introduction to the band, and thankfully it was from Enrico at Cruz del Sur. We
yeah.
got to talking and check this out, and I think you and I actually briefly discussed this one too. But man, what a stellar album! Every checks all the boxes, just like you were saying. So let me ask you this: do you ever pick up a little Thin Lizzy vibe on this at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely like the one of the things I love about Mega Colossus is they're one of the best double guitar bands
Yeah,
out there. I mean, just and not in just that they use them. It's just like the tone, the tonality, and how they do it. Super catchy double run lines, and there it's like them and Slow Fag, and
yeah,
there's a couple others that do it really, really well. Like that,
yeah,
it stands out as like a real, part of what makes some bands have it, and you could take the double guitars out and it wouldn't like. I think with them, it's like uh, part of uh, part of their DNA, like part of their
definitely.
their sound that makes them like it just makes them unique, like awesome.
Yeah, it's very it sounds very natural. It's not forced. That's one of the first things I realized. But I mean, yeah, they can take like Thin Lizzy and even like Rainbow, and they can kind of go in and out of that and then keep up
Yeah.
with their own thing. And yeah, great record though. So yep, that comes in at 14 for me.
All right. Number 13 for me, a great comeback. We had these boys on. It's the Gates of Slumber. I mean, this freaking record is like doom distilled down to its darkest. This is just a great doomy record. I mean, honestly, I think this is the most doomy record that they've made, at least since um, their second record, if not the doomiest overall. I mean,
Sure.
because they started getting into more epic kind of things. At the time, you had both. I would have more like a more epic metal thing. Carl talked about this,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then the doom thing. But this record is just like 6 songs. They really lean into the doom on here. It's killer. It sounds great. The
Oh
production
man.
on here is fantastic. Everything's clear and it's still so heavy. The vocals are great. Carl and Steve singing together. is awesome. I mean, and look at this. Oh, I mean, I love the record cover. It's got
The embossed, yeah.
oh, it feels so good, and uh, it just looks. I mean, they might look a little bit better here. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I mean, I love these guys. I'm glad they're back. This record's killer. The Fog is awesome, and Full Moon Fever is my favorite on here.
Yeah.
We've talked about that whole middle section where the dude becomes where he's transforming into the
Yep.
werewolf. Well, like the first time you hear it, you'd be like,
I
what am I hearing there? It scared the shit out of me the first time.
Same here. Same here.
But yeah, I mean, get this. If you love Doom, you owe it to yourself to get this record. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, Svart does a great job
Oh yeah, Svart does a bang up job
on
on
their
everything.
releases, with nice thick vinyl. The cover's beautiful. Um, and yeah, it sounds great. I mean, this is a great record. Great comeback for them.
Couldn't agree more. Tremendous, tremendous album. At anything you throw in there, it's a great album.
Yeah.
All right. At number 13, this one was all over the place. There's always that one or two albums in your list that could go like really high and then really low. And,
Yeah,
you
depends on
know,
the day.
yeah. And, like we were saying earlier, that first quarter this year, just bangers coming out from all over the place. And, I still do. This is such a cool, fun album, and I love it. And it's Ace Frehley, 10,000 volts. It's I don't know. There's not a whole lot more to say other than it's Ace Frehley. you know,
Yeah,
he sounds great. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they produced the shit out of this in the studio and doctored it up, as they needed. Um, I think Steve Brown had a huge hand in this,
definitely.
in making it radio friendly and everything. But every song on here, minus one or two, is just great. 10,000 volts is great. Walking on the Moon's cool. I know some people may disagree, but I love Cherry Medicine. I think it's
Dude,
got kind of a sweet vibe to it.
dude,
Um,
the chorus on that song is like the verse kind of throws me a bit, but that chorus is like unbelievable. Like there's not it's so infectious. I mean,
it
it's
is.
crazy good.
Yeah, I mean it's you're washing the dishes and you're singing that song to yourself. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I loved it. I'm glad that Ace put out another proper studio album. Not a big fan of all of his cover albums, which apparently he's doing yet another one,
Uh,
Volume Three. I could do without all of that. I would love to get another studio album out of him. So yeah, 10,000 volts, Ace Frehley, good stuff. Fun album.
yeah, it's a good record. If we were going top 50, it would have definitely been in somewhere in the 30 to 40 range.
Sure,
I think it's the best studio record he's made in quite a while.
I
And
agree.
now I like the last few as well, but this one is just like I think heads and shoulders above Space Invader and
Yeah,
Spaceman. Uh, really good
yeah,
record.
yep, definitely.
Number 12 for me, from the files of It Hasn't Come Yet, is Paul Bearer's Mind Burns Alive. Um, Again, for me, I found myself as I'm getting more mature. Uh,
As you're growing up.
yeah, as I'm growing up, it's not that this is a grown up kind of band or anything. It's that a lot of I find a lot that I like about like a more music that's heavy. Paul Bearer is heavy, but they're heavy in a way that like they're not. Early on, it was more like they had more of the bludgeoning
Yeah,
heavy, like sonically kind of thing. Now they're still heavy, but they're heavy. They're so heavy. I mean, I use this word a lot when I talk about records, and I get drawn to them, emotionally like dense and heavy and pull at your heartstrings
right.
kind of thing. And that's Paul Bearer is so good at this. They're one of those bands like if you like Warning, if you like
Yeah.
40 Watt Sun, there's a little bit of like revelation in their sound. I think a little bit of While Heaven Wept even in it. You could also like they're not the same. Right? You can almost hear like I think if you like bands like Typo Negative,
Sure.
you would like this band. But they have a real like kind of like um it's heavy. it's not overly riff based. It's just like, the vocals carry a lot of this. I think the weight of it. Um, Brett Campbell's voice is just really good. I mean, I just really like the way the guy sings. And like I said, it just tugs at you
Yeah.
when it tugs at your heart when you listen to it. I mean, and it's really just powerful stuff. And the last few records, I think of, Heartless, I think was, I love that record. And um, the last one I thought was really good. And this one um, might be might be the best record that they've done.
Another one to put on the need list. But I will say I do agree with you. Yeah, that first album was really straightforward. Even that first album though, I'm like you. I like things that I can emotionally attach to, and I know I've said this a couple times tonight, but I like albums that like take me someplace or put me in a particular headspace. And Paul Bear can definitely do that. And from that first album on, that's their thing. Um, I think they did kind of go down that proggy route a little bit, but it seems like they've kind of come back around within these last couple and have kind of come back to the, I don't want to say doom roots, but it kind of in that area. Um, and, speaking of warning, Brett can pull off a Paul Walker here and there too, where it seems like the tone of their voices are pretty close.
Yeah, there's definitely like there's times where um, his vocal melodies will remind me so much of the vocal melodies on Warnings Watching from a Distance,
Yeah.
which is an album that will crush your soul.
Yeah.
If you get, it's one of those records like I can only listen to it once in a great while, and you listen to it the whole way through because it just like takes it at that to this, sad
Yeah.
sad place. And you know, Brett's vocals do remind me of that. He's got it's those vocal lines are like evoke the same kind of thing. They just pull at you, man. I mean, just
I
the
do.
way he puts his notes together, just it evokes something. I mean, you can't just you have to listen to it like to fully comprehend it. But he's just so good at doing what he does.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not so much his range; it's just that his tonal quality and
Yes.
how he manipulates that. Depending on the vibe and the mood of the music too. Yeah, great, good pick, really good pick. All right, here's another one, number 12. This could have gone higher up and down. I try to go with my gut as far as I always when we do these lists, I always go with replay value. What do I reach for the most? I'm not like, yeah, man, I want to hear that again. And it's not. And it's not that
Right.
I didn't want to hear this again, but this album is a very big album and it's an investment. When you're gonna listen to this, you need to be like, you gotta sit down and absorb this whole thing. So Mandrake Project, huge. Like I said, big listen. Um, Production on this album is absolutely stellar. I mean, balanced. You can hear everything. Um, it was good to get another Bruce Dickinson solo album.
Oh
The
yeah.
the last couple of Maidens, I'm not saying they weren't good or anything, but this just drives it home. This was very I don't want to say unexpected, but I was just like, holy shit, this is a great album. Really good to get another Bruce Dickinson, especially a Chemical Wedding, Accident at Birth, two of my favorites. This is right up there with them too. So Bruce
How do you
Dickinson,
how do you feel about the version of If Eternity Fails that's on here as opposed to
the
the one
remake.
that's
Yeah,
yeah.
I like this one better. You?
I don't know. I lived with the one on Book of Souls for so much longer. Because I really like loved that record. Um I like it. I like it a lot. It was different to hear it. Like it's still like a great song. I don't know. This one I still need to get it's like you said, it's kind of like it's not as much of a instant payoff like the way Accident of Birth was or Chemical Wedding even.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like you do it, like you said, you do have to invest some time in it. Like this is a record that's gone in and out of my top 20. I mean, as of a couple days ago, it was in the top 20, and then as
Sure.
of today, it was out
Right.
when I
Right.
really like weighed it against the other stuff. But I really just need some more time with it. Um,
Yeah. No,
but
it's
I
a
think it,
lot to, it's a ton to absorb. And, like any of his other, solo records, they were, I don't know, more on the instant gratification side. You could, throw it on, listen to it, get what you need. This is like a magnum opus where you really got to sit down and dim the lights and really take it all in.
yeah.
But doesn't take anything away from it. I don't want to scare people away from it, but it's a fantastic record.
Yeah, and I'll take new Bruce Dickinson music any day because that guy
Oh
is
yeah.
still singing like at the, I think, damn near the top of his game for all he's been through and, his age. He sounds phenomenal, still sounds great live. He's
Yep.
still creative. He still comes up with great vocal melodies. He has great ideas, and you know, he's just such an interesting artist.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad, like you said, I'm so glad he put the record out because it makes the wait between Maiden records,
Yeah. Yeah.
less to get. I could listen to I if Bruce put out a new record every year, I would, you know,
Be
grab
all
them
over
all.
that.
All right, number 11 and the last one for tonight.
11.
Um, it almost made my top 10. Um, this is one of those legacy bands that I love these guys since the 80s. Um, they've been on their original run was killer, and then they kind of like went into a little bit of a creative lull where they were kind of like trying to break America and made some poor decisions. And then since Unleash the Beast, they just been killing it. Saxon, Hellfire and Damnation,
Oh
again,
yeah.
consistent. I mean, album after album after album. You can count on these guys. Biff sounds fantastic. Um, you know, Doug Scarrett's guitar playing on here is great. Nigel Glockler and Nibs Carter, that rhythm section, just
Yeah.
Nigel Glockler, the engine room, and Nibs Carter on bass, just so tight. And then Brian Tatler
Oh man.
on this record, I think you could really feel his impact on the record. It's certainly like some of the record is a little bit riffier, if you will. There
Yep.
you could definitely feel like the vibe from him being. It's kind of like I love Paul Quinn. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
The records they did up until the last one were great that Paul was on. I just think Brian adds something a little bit different that makes this record like be a little bit more unique to itself than and
Yep.
but they're just so good. I mean, you know what you're going to get when you get one of their records. They're kind of like in that um they've been in the, for lack of a better term, the power metal phase of their career
Right. Right.
for a while. But still like there's some stuff here that like sounds like to me like old, like older like evokes the classic era Saxon, like Supercharger.
Great
I
song.
think Pirates of the Airwaves both
Yep.
have kind of like that more um dirty kind of
Sure.
Saxon sound from like the 80s. They would have fit on records,
Yep.
like
Yep.
Strong Arm or
Absolutely.
1066 is great. Madame Guillotine, a lot of
Great
people
song.
seem to love, great song,
Yeah.
sounded great live. A lot of people love that one. Um, it's just good, man. I mean, there's some good fast stuff on here. There's good mid tempo stuff. Biff sounds like $1 million. The guy doesn't age. They're incredible. I mean, the fact that they could put out banger after banger amazes me to no end. How these guys weren't as big as Maiden and Priest is beyond me. Other than they
Yeah.
just made a couple bad decisions. They didn't get the same things. Just didn't break the same way, and then
Yeah.
they overcompensated, I think. And
Yeah.
um, probably Steve Dawson's mustache didn't help very much either. But
That's
and Paul
classic though,
Quinn's
man.
visor,
Yes.
in the image conscious 80s. But
We used to make fun of that so bad in those videos. We're like, we got to go out and get a visor. That'll make
yeah,
us even more metal.
but I'm so glad they're still making records. I mean,
Hell yeah.
and I'll be looking forward to the next one. And I
Yeah.
just saw them, I saw them live this past year, freaking godly as always. And they, played a bunch of stuff from this record. So
Yeah.
cool band.
Yeah.
Saxon,
Saxon.
Saxon. That's number 11.
Great pick. I think Tadler kind of, some new energy. like you said, not taking anything
for
away from
sure.
Quinn, but definitely some new energy in there. Brought a little Diamond Head in there, and I saw him live too, and I mean they were running around and just rocking out like they were half their age. So
Yeah, dude.
good stuff. Great album. Freaking love that album. Okay, my number 11, Lucifer's Hammer.
Nice.
Oh man, this almost made my top 10. And I was like, oh, I got to be honest with myself. But recently I've been revisiting this and it's God, man, there's so much to take in on this album. It's this is another one where it's all over the place. There's and I don't know. Again, I think it might just be my ear and because I haven't really seen anybody mention this, but these guys can kind of space out in the same way that like the New Blood incantation is. They can take
Yeah.
you on a little bit of a cosmic kind of journey, but then out of nowhere it's like Iron Maiden and Satan and there's some Thin Lizzy in here too. It's just got everything. So I'd be hard pressed to really give you a favorite song. Medusa Spell is really good though. But everything just flows together. This is one of those albums where it just creates that really nice cycle. So by the time that you flip to side B and it wraps up, put it back on again. But excellent stuff. And I know that you mentioned these guys too, so I agree with you.
Yeah, that's a really good record, man. I can't wait to get a hold of it. I actually hear, in addition to the bands you mentioned, we talked about this before too. I hear some Warlord in that
Oh,
record.
yes,
There's definite
definitely.
Warlord vibe creeping through some of those songs, man. There's some things with keys and just moods that made me think of those old, classic Warlord records.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too. Yeah, we did talk about that and you're spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right,
So,
well, there's the bottom half of our top 20 list. Let us know in the comments. Maybe you have a top 20 list. What is your bottom half? We're interested because there's
tell
so
us
much
about your
out
bottom
there.
half.
I'm gonna regret saying that. You watch. Okay,
We'll edit that out.
here come the comments now. Oh, we're gonna leave
Yeah.
that in. We're leaving that in. Okay, we want to know your 11 through 20, please. So, we will have another episode coming very soon with our top 10 of 2024. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But like we're saying, put your lists in the comments. What did Butch and I miss? We want to know. Just blow it up. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think of our picks. And as always, please subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
Yeah. Definitely comment. Mike and I need more to put on our list. We need more to go out and buy. And that's the way these work. Like I'll watch these, I'll see people's lists and I'm like, oh, man, I gotta go check this out. I gotta check that out. So,
Right.
definitely see your list, like and subscribe, tell your friends, check us out on Facebook. We got a Facebook page up now. Um, let us know what you want to see, and we'll be back at you with numbers 10 through number 1 next.
Yeah. All right. We will catch you all on the next episode of For
For
the
the
Sake
sake of
of Heaviness.
heaviness. Yes.
Later.